Hot 97 Morning Show. Rosenberg, Old Man Ebro, and ESPN's Chris Broussard.
How are you, man?
I'm great, man. It's good to be here.
Very cool to have you.
Jason Collins.
All right.
You caught some heat. You caught some real live heat.
I think you told me before he got here, you said, what was he thinking injecting his own?
What I said was, what the fuck was he thinking doing that? So you came out and you were not too favorable towards Jason Collins coming out and talking about being homosexual.
No, I have no problem with Jason coming out and saying he was homosexual. Obviously, it's his right, and I'm fine with that. And I was, if you look at what happened, obviously you're referring to Outside the Lines. I was on SportsCenter 3 or 4 times before that, and I was acting as an objective reporter, just telling what I'm hearing from people around the league, text messages, phone calls, from coaches, players, agents, the whole 9 yards. Never injected my own opinion. Now, I've been on Outside the Lines dozens of times, and that's the type of show it is. It gets into your personal opinion. I've talked about numerous things from a personal standpoint on that show. So when I was on there talking about Jason, I was asked my opinion of Jason living as a homosexual from a Christian standpoint, because in the article in Sports Illustrated, he also said, I'm a Christian and I'm a homosexual. So I was asked my personal opinion about that. And so that's why I injected it. And LZ Granderson, who was on the show with me, a friend of mine, worked with him in the past at ESPN Magazine, he kind of brought my personal view into it as well, because he said himself, Chris and I have had discussions dozens of times or numerous times. He's a homosexual, and we've talked about it. We're friends, but we disagree. You know, he knows where I come from as a Christian. I know where he comes from. He doesn't agree with my beliefs. He doesn't agree with what I think the Bible says, and that's fine. And we view that as real diversity, where two people can just have a difference of opinion.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, without being disagreeable, so without being hateful.
Is ultimately your opinion not I'm guessing it's not a personal judgment of gay people, much as you feel that there is a contradiction to being an observant Christian and being gay?
Well, I think the Bible makes it clear that if you're going to be a Christ-like individual, which is what a Christian's supposed to be, then there's a certain lifestyle you are to pursue. And regarding sexuality, that means you're supposed to have sex in marriage with your wife, a man and a woman, not outside of marriage. And that's the thing that got overlooked. I didn't single out homosexuals. I said any form of sex outside of marriage between a man and a woman, even between two heterosexuals, premarital sex, adultery, that's considered a sin too. So if you're a person that's unrepentantly, we all struggle. I mean, I got saved in my senior year in college. I had premarital sex after that, but I was repentant. I was trying not to, but I struggled, I fell. But I repented and tried to get back on track and did. So that's the sign of a Christian. Not that you're perfect, but that you're trying to be Christ-like. And the Bible says that, like I said, any sex outside of marriage between a man and a woman is sin, and you shouldn't pursue that if you're a Christian. Talk
about the heat you got, because obviously, that is a very controversial topic. I actually thought you had got fired until they told me they was like ESPN's Chris Broussard. This was just.
He was like, he's not still with ESPN.
He don't work at ESPN no more, but he can come up.
No. I mean, ESPN was very supportive. I mean, their view, they weren't on my side. They weren't against me. Their view was, we believe in diversity. And you were asked your opinion. You stated your opinion. John Skipper, one of our top executives, even came out and said, they made the mistake of asking me, putting me on the show or asking me my opinion. So I caught no flack from ESPN
in retrospect, do you feel like you could have been, or you could have articulated your thoughts better? Because I don't disagree with you, but I also don't disagree with Jason Collins, and I feel like to agree to disagree is fine. But I do believe that oftentimes when asked our opinion on things, we talk about our feelings, right? And we disregard what the individual who's actually going through the issue might be feeling as a human, right? Because like you said, as a Christian, I'm not perfect. I did this, I did that. Same thing with Jason Collins or anybody else out there struggling. Sometimes we put them through this filter of like perfection or what they should be in the moment that they're struggling. And that's, I think, is an unfair
By struggling,
moment.
You mean the
Dealing with the moment,
But
dealing with
everyone
the
coming
heat,
at
yeah.
him.
Dealing,
Well, see, and what I think is that, and that was the difference. Jason's, by his own admission, and this is his right. He has every right to do this. I don't think he's struggling with it. He's saying, "This is who I am. This is how I live."
But I mean, in that moment, he was afraid. Like there were in the article when he came out. Yeah, in the moment,
the struggle of the moment,
of the
pressure
moment of the
world.
heat of people judging you, and then here comes Chris Broussard saying, "Yeah, but if you a Christian, you shouldn't be doing that."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
you see what I mean? And in that moment, do you feel like you could have said it better? Do you wish
you know, honestly, I don't have a problem with the way I articulated it. If I had more time, it's tough and, you know, little sound bites here and there. If I had longer, I probably would have said, you know, God obviously is a loving God and his grace extends to all of us, you know, and so he loves Jason just like he loves everyone else. So maybe something like that. But I don't have a problem with what I said. Like I said, I was asked my personal opinion. And really, when you look at it, and I spoke with Jason the next night. You know, we talked. I called him, and we had a good 10-minute conversation. It was all love. I told him I respected him, thought it was courageous what he did. And, I thought it was being misrepresented what I said, because people were saying I ain't want him in the NBA. I had no problem. I never even implied that he shouldn't be in the NBA. People thought I took that moment to express, you know, to capitalize on it and launch myself, so to speak. I was asked a question.
It's not really a launch
It didn't
either.
launch me, right?
Yeah, it's not a launch.
And that's the funny thing. People say, well, like you just said, Jason was going through the pressure. And I know it's tough. Anytime you're talking about your sexuality, no matter what it is, it's tough openly like that. But Jason got a letter from the president or a phone call from the president. Chris Broussard got demolished, you know what I'm saying, on every single station. So a lot of people think I was catching more heat than Jason was.
That's the thing. I didn't agree with you, but your opinion should be out there. We can't just shut down people's opinions and not have conversations.
Yeah,
and
that's a great viewpoint.
And you know what? And it's a great transition to the charity that you're working on about what we should be doing to help other people and to bring communities tighter. This Saturday, what do you have going on?
Well, I have a men's movement called the King Movement, which stands for Knowledge, Inspiration, and Nurture through God. But basically what we're trying to do is help men, all of us, including myself. We want to help each other be better fathers, husbands, leaders, citizens, role models. And then when you look at the fatherless crisis in America, I mean, over 40% of the children now born without a father in the home. In the Black and Latino communities, it's above 65%. So we want to be an example to these young brothers that may not have a male role model in their life of how you can be a husband, be a father, be a leader, and help build up their self-esteem as men. So what we're doing this Saturday, just one of the events we're doing, it's a King Day of Giving Back, free cuts for kids. So any boy 12 years and under who's being raised by a single parent, mother or father, they can come in and get a free haircut at Center Stage Cuts in Newark, New Jersey, 402 Broad Street, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. They come in, get a free haircut. There's going to be snacks, refreshments. We're going to give a free T-shirt, the King Movement T-shirt, to all the single mothers who come in with their children. I'm going to do an hour-long question and answer session where I can be asked about education, sports, careers in sports, the NBA, whatever it might be. We're going to have Juan Garcia, who is a licensed life coach, certified life coach. He also works at the National Head Start Association in Patterson, and he's a family and children therapist. He's going to be there offering a free life coaching session to every parent that they'll appoint.
Well, a couple things we should point out here. One, pretty much anybody can get a free haircut because I don't know how you prove that you're from a single parent home.
If they're and we not
just
even
show
going
up with
you
moms.
Don't encourage people
we tried to
steal
figure out,
haircuts, man.
It's
but you're right. We tried to figure out how you're gonna do it.
It's Newark, ladies and gentlemen. It's Newark, New Jersey. Come down with one parent. You gonna get a free haircut.
You hit it on the head. You're right about that. We have no way of checking.
So tell us, let's real quickly. We've covered a couple things now, but The NBA is your beat. That's what you do best.
Yeah.
What are some interesting storylines you think we should be looking for here the rest of the season?
Well, we know the sexy storyline is Brooklyn and New York. How bad they are. You know, people talking about last year you looked forward to this matchup. This year, not so much. No, people looking forward to it tonight, right?
Yeah,
or
it's going
Thursday
down.
night. It went down last night. But it's going to be, you know, what happens with the coaches. Neither one's going to get fired tonight or anything like that. But to me, the storyline in the league, and I don't know how sexy people think it is, but Portland Trailblazers. I mean, they're 16-3, and last night, the last two games, they beaten Indiana and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, it's early. I don't think they're a legitimate championship contender. I think they can get home court advantage in the first round in the West. But, hey, they got LaMarcus Aldridge playing like the best power forward in the league.
However,
and
LaMarcus Aldridge is notorious for being injured.
Yeah.
So is he going to last the entire season?
I think he will.
And Portland is notorious for having phenomenal starts and injuries landing on their doorstep.
So
towards the end of the year.
you're predicting a fall.
I'm predicting they go to the playoffs. I don't want to see them fall. I would love to see.
You have a fondness for Portland, don't you?
I lived in Portland.
Portland's
for a long time.
a great city,
it's a great
right?
city.
Yeah.
I would love to see them do well and go as far as they can. Unfortunately, year after year, that's been their trend.
All right, let's burn through a couple other teams I want to ask about. Do the Pacers have a legitimate chance at beating the Heat this year?
No question. Now, I'm picking the Heat, but if Dwayne Wade is healthy and at his best for this stage of his career, I think the Heat will win with LeBron and Wade. But a big key also is Greg Oden, who we haven't seen. He played like 8 minutes in the preseason, but they're saving him for the second half of the season. They only need him for Indiana. Play 10, 15 minutes a game
those
against Roy
7-footers
Hibbert.
up against
That's
him.
it. That's all. If he can't play any other series, that's fine. That's the only one they need him
Now,
for. Unless Brooklyn
can he make a
gets
layup?
healthy. Yeah. Look, I'm saying this. If he plays, he's going to be effective. Because he's going to be able to rebound, going to be able to defend.
He's so big.
And he can finish, you know what I'm saying, with a dunk or a layup. And
we
LeBron,
think.
the
All
way
you have
to do is
he can do that. I have faith in him.
We've seen some NBA players that should have just been able to drop it right in the bucket, and it's been a challenge.
Oh, hold on. Let's see who else interesting.
The Rockets, man. Let's talk Rockets.
I like
Spurs,
the Rockets. Yep.
It's
Clippers, Oklahoma
How about
City.
this? Speaking of the Rockets, a lot of people these days have had a little bit of seller's regret with the rush to get Jeremy Lin out of here.
Yeah.
Don't give him the money. He's not worth it. Now this seems like a kid who's going to be able to ball in this league for a long time.
He's playing great, man. He's in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. You know, so I can't fault the Knicks because that contract, paying him $15 million next season, would have been a bear for them. And him and Carmelo Anthony didn't fit together. And as bad as the Knicks look right now with Melo, I still would take Melo any day of the week over Jeremy Lin. So I can't hate on them for that. They got a lot more problems.
Merchandising with Jeremy Lin, though.
Well, Jeremy China, you're right. He's gonna be huge.
I mean, there's a reason they brought him to Houston.
Gombe is.
Yeah, Jeremy's right.
Well, he was struggling last year though.
Yeah,
But this year he's doing his thing. I'm glad to see it too. I like it.
Really quick, let's jump to something though. You kind of hit on it when you're talking about the Knicks, Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony. But Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony cannot play together. Is everybody okay saying that does not work?
You make a great point, but the problem is we really haven't gotten to like Amari is. I love Amari. I've been on panel discussions about helping, strengthening the fatherlessness crisis or improving that in our country. Been to Rikers Island with Amari to talk to the inmates and stuff. That's my man. But as a basketball player, he's not the same. He's not the same.
He's not healthy. Lots of injuries.
He's not. Even if him and Melo could play together, Amari's not the guy he was in Phoenix. He's not the guy he was his first season with the Knicks. It's not his fault. His body is broken down on him. So I don't think it's as simple as they can't play together. It's just Amari's not what he was. Because, look, Melo played – the team was good last year, but they lost a lot. Look, Melo has to improve. As great as he is, he has to do more than score. He's got to get his other teammates involved. He's got to move the ball more. He's got to be more committed on defense because guys have a tough time playing with Melo because he dominates the ball and it stops when he gets it. There's no movement. But last year, you had more help. You had veteran leaders, Rasheed Wallace, Jason Kidd, Kurt Thomas. Even though they didn't play a lot, they kept the locker room in order, in line, and they could say something to Melo. Jason Kidd could say, yo, Melo, you got to move the rock, man. Who's saying that now? Ain't nobody saying that. So that's a problem. And then they lost some shooting. Steve Novak, look, he no star, but the dude can shoot.
If he's
a
open,
threat.
If he's open,
Exactly.
he buries it. Who ends up better at the end of the year, the Knicks or the Nets?
I'm gonna say
Nets. You
I
have to
still
say the
think
Nets.
they both will make the playoffs.
You do.
The
Yes.
East is horrible. It's so bad.
The Nets are a better
But and I'll
team.
say I agree with Ebro. The Nets.
I would say the biggest problem the Nets have, age is one. Well, let's put that up there. Jason Kidd is just a rookie season as a head coach.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't have that experience.
We just brought Lawrence Frank on, interestingly enough, right?
Which-
just brought him on and just brought him off.
Yeah.
it's off already?
Grand opening, grand closing.
He's doing
I
reports.
just read the headline
He's
that he
doing
came
reports
on.
now.
Okay.
No, he's
That
not-
was a nice way of firing him. Look, don't feel too bad for Lawrence Frank. He has a 6-year, $6 million contract guaranteed. So he's gonna get paid $6 million
nice.
over the next 6 years. When they say he's doing reports, I mean that's when you paying somebody that much, you don't just fire him and kick him to the curb. You still keep him on as a quote
So
unquote
what's the
consultant
inside
or something
story
like
there
that.
between Jason Kidd
It was
and Lawrence
tension.
Frank?
I mean, they were tight. That's why it's a bit surprising because part of Jason coming here was that look, we know he's inexperienced, and Lawrence Frank is they're good friends. They have respect for each other, and Frank knows the X's and O's. He's going to help Jason make that transition to being a head coach. But what people tell me inside the organization is that Lawrence was trying to take over, and you know they like Jason Kidd says a difference in philosophies. That's what it was, and Lawrence, you know, people feel like he was. This is what people are saying. I don't know. Lawrence would say differently, but they say he was undermining Kidd in that he was trying to take over.
It's certainly
and that's
logical.
why Jason
Now, did Lawrence
got rid of him.
Did Lawrence coach Kidd in New
Yes,
Jersey?
yes.
That's a bizarre situation. You know what I'm saying? You want to come back and
It's a tough. You're
you
right.
We want to come back and meet Coach Ebro and be like, Ebro, chill out. Like that was
See,
weird.
I would do good though. I'm good.
You'd handle
I'm
that?
I'm
You
a
could
team player. Like
All right, I'm gonna work on that.